What stopped you from killing yourself? My mother always told me, if it weren't for you, I would lose my will to live. Knowing that my dog depended on me and that, if I did anything to hurt myself it would hurt my brother. Failed attempt. Recently, the awareness that it's an issue that brings me a lot of suffering. If killing myself were what I actually wanted, there wouldn't be any apprehensiveness or emotional discomfort. It'd be like eating a pizza or taking a shower. No matter how motivated I feel in the moment, there's at least some part of me that doesn't want that. So maybe that's the part that makes more sense. I was deployed to Afghanistan twice. I was on my second tour as a combat engineer as an IED sweeper. I cleared roads, LZs and foot routes. 2 months before going home off my second tour, I went to turn my rifle to spray my thoughts on the cock ceiling. This was 3 o'clock. No one should be around at that time. But as soon as I put that cold muzzle in my mouth, a Marine walked in, saw me and said, "Please don't, bro." With the look in his eyes I'll never forget. He actually cared if I blew my brains out. We talked most of the night. I found out that he came up because I seemed off on the last mission. So he walked up to the cock just to make sure I was okay. We became really great friends after that. But what made it even better that helped me is we never told anyone. He was my radio operator. He put his name on every mission I was leading, just to keep an eye out for me. It has been 10 years since that day. He calls me 23 times a week to this day, just to check in on me. I stood up at his wedding couple years ago. Next month I fly out to see his daughter get baptized. I am his daughter's godfather. He saved my life and that is a debt I have to pay. To this day I still feel like killing myself at least a couple times a month. But in the Marine Corps we have honor and loyalty. A life for a life and debt is always paid. He has no idea that is why I still have not killed myself. His wife thinks I am the happiest person on this planet, but when my buddy looks at me, I know he knows how empty I'm inside, because all he can say is the good old days budoyo. Edit: I am not the best at punctuation and spelling. My brother. He found me pass out drunk in the car that was running in the garage, dragged me out, and yelled at me cause I could have died. In that moment I realized I couldn't do that to him, or the rest of my family or girlfriend. As soon as I was with it enough to realize that, I was happy I was able to go in and destroy the note I had left before him or anyone else could find it. When I refer to it, I say I once failed at failing. It was a turning point to me. He literally stopped me. And it's been my family since that had kept me here. They deserve better than that from me, and I love them. My best friend and his little sister. She had killed herself shortly before that. It showed me how much impact it has on those who love you. It helped me see that this was something I couldn't do to my friends and family. The day I was really close to doing it, my best friend called me. He was crying, which is pretty extreme in his case, since the only person he opens up to is me, but even I have only seen him cry like 2 times, since he is such a strong person. I instantly went to visit him. He had a breakdown, since he already has to take care of his siblings. Has abusive parents. His sister had died not too long ago, and some other reasons which are quite irrelevant to this question. That day he asked me if I would stay with him forever, and if I'd be there for him and his family forever, and I agreed. That time he was thankful and thought that I was the only one helping in that moment, but in reality this promise was exactly what I needed, and I think he helped me even more than I helped him. I had lost my purpose in life shortly before I got suicidal. He and his little siblings gave me a purpose again. The family was pretty destroyed, and I knew that they needed me, so I took even more care of them. Especially the twin brother of the late little sister was probably the most affected. Edit: thanks for the silver, kind stranger. My mama would be sad. I'm not ruining my cat's life. The thought of him being hauled off to a shelter and put in a cage is just no. I guess I'll make it through. Deterrence theory. In college I studied economics, and there was a class on game theory, and one of the discussions was about deterrence theory. Long story short, nations' options with nuclear weapons: use them, and they will get used on you, or don't use them, and they may not get used on you. The teacher put it numerically. The benefit of not using nukes is +1, the cost of using them is 500 BC. They get used on you if you use them. Even though the benefit of not using them is small, it is still greater than the cost of using them. I use deterrence theory whenever I think about suicide, which is more often than I care to admit. The benefit of not killing myself may be only +1 or even 1 in value, but that is still greater than the cost of killing myself, which is 500 in this example. I wouldn't call my reasoning healthy, but it works for me. It helps to actually have friends and talk to them about it. If you don't have any friends, see a therapist. In my opinion, therapists are just friends that get paid to be friends with you. Like I said, my way of thinking isn't very healthy, so IDK how much you should listen to me. Earlier this year, the evening before my birthday, I hid away in the spare room with my antidepressants and a razor blade. I was planning to odd and slice myself to ribbons. I was psyching myself up, ready to cut up along my arm, when the door opened. I was terrified that my partner, or his mother or stepdad, had found me. Instead, it was his mother's cat. The cat had never forced open a closed door before. She was barely smart enough to get through an open door. She waddled up to me and screamed in my face. With her there, I just couldn't bring myself to do. Later the next day, I was in our bedroom and I was feeling really low again and contemplating ending my life. She once again forced open the bedroom door, waddled in, jumped up on the bed, and snuggled next to me. We fell asleep together. I love that cat so much. We've moved house a couple of months ago, and because she's a very dim cat, I honestly thought she would forget me. We recently visited, and she let me pick her up. I was the only one she had ever let pick her up before, so I think she did actually remember me, and it made me so happy. She's a total dork, and I love her. Sheer cowardice. Sweet gold. It's been a minute since I got me one of them. Fear of failing. Can't afford a psych hold. I will only get one shot at it, and I need to do it right. I just go on Reddit, and I'm immediately reminded that I'm not a failure. Do you need help? Or is this just a question for discussion? My cat. No joke. I was crying and crying cause I didn't want to be in pain. But I heard this small meow and my cat just laid in front of me and put his paw on my hand. Times are hard, but I promise there is someone who will care if you're gone. I know I'm some stranger on the internet, but I would care. Stay strong, friend. After having suicidal thoughts for years, I had a dream one night. In the dream, I was feeling depressed and told one of my friends my life is worthless. There is nothing I can accomplish. I should just kill myself. My friend shrugged and told me, yeah, you should kill yourself. I decided to do it with sleeping pills. I still remember the amount that I took in my dream. 28. After that I walked around campus, feeling happy that soon that feeling will be over. But then I walked up to a window and saw a patch of green grass glistening in the sunlight. And that's when I realized I fucked up. I started thinking about all the things I wanted to do in my life that I still haven't done yet. I remembered all the languages I still haven't learned, all the foods I still haven't tried, all the girls I still haven't asked out, and now it will never happen. And that's when the dread hit me, that now I will never be able to do so. I started crying. That's when the realization that I was only started to seep in. And that realization was one of the greatest feelings I've ever experienced in my life. It's been up and down since then, and I've certainly had some moments of depression. But I never went back to having those same suicidal thoughts again. My wife took the gun from me. I was living in New York City when I got the idea to go to a New Jersey gun range, where the rules are far more relaxed, and offing myself there, I kept just thinking about the poor people that would witness it happening, so I had planned on visiting a few until I find one empty enough. It became an obsession. Anytime something bad happened to me, I would just say to myself, I'll be dead soon. Anyway, I eventually delayed my plans further when I started traveling, and it made me happy. Unfortunately, out of nowhere, my older brother took his own life years after I delayed my own plans. It was just this February and he'd been experiencing a lot of what has pained me, and suddenly I was on the outside looking in. It scared me to see how superficial everyone was, including my mother and his friends. It made me see that no one really gives a shit about people like us. Except I do. Which got me thinking about my own grief and made me not want to do this to anyone. Even if it's just one person. It fucking hurts every day. If my brother knew how much I hurt and how much I will for the rest of my life, I don't know. Maybe he would have thought twice. Sounds horrible, but being told that you'll go to hell if you kill yourself, I hardly believe it myself. But I have such a massive fear of what happens after death that it's enough to stop me from coming close to it. Meeting my husband. Cowardice and ramen. First time I did not tie the noose correctly and it came undone. Second time the hook fell out of the ceiling when I kicked the chair out from under me. Third time I was using too dull of a knife to actually cut into my wrist. I was a dumb child. Fourth time I made a friend during an art club session on the day I was gonna hang myself, so decided not to just to see them again. Fifth time was after I had been cheated on. I tried to jump a bridge, but the bag I always wear caught the railing and stopped me from falling. Sixth time I was homeless and on the bench, getting ready to slit my wrist with a razor, but police showed up. Seventh and so far last time I had a serious breakdown and no one was around to help calm me down. I tried slitting my throat, but my hands kept shaking and I got too scared to try again. These all happened within the span of this last decade, with 5, 6, and 7 being this year. Now I am just scared the afterlife is not going to be the sweet release I was searching for, but worse. So I keep on living, so at least maybe I have a chance for a happier life. I mean, hey, I finally got meds to deal with most of my problems. So that as a start. Cannot die before loved ones. When my best friend took his own life, it shattered my entire perspective on suicide. I had been on the fence of taking my own life and weighing the pros and cons. I even had the noose tied and ready in my bottom drawer. But last Monday evening I got a call from my best friend's sister that he had attempted suicide and is in the critical care unit and probably wouldn't make it. He passed away the following morning. I watched our entire small town community become blanketed with grief and the family fall into depression. Like my friend, I also have 2 younger brothers. I watched his 2 brothers become almost lifeless in how they carried themselves. Same with his sister. His entire family is in pain I can't imagine. I realized that if I committed suicide, it's not like just killing myself, but killing my entire family as well. In the moment, it was the fact that I wanted someone to rescue me from myself and from my thoughts and from my shitty situation. No one did. But the fact that I wanted it changed my perspective. Because life may suck, but I wouldn't exist if I wasn't meant to be here for something. If there was nothing in this world and no reason for life, everyone would kill themselves. Or else we wouldn't even exist. Random chance creating logical beings just makes no logical sense. So I remember that for every day that I'm alive, that's another day I need to be alive. I may suffer while I'm here, but there is something I still need to do here. When I wanted to kill myself, it was because I didn't want to live in a world with this much pain. I didn't want all this pain. I still don't. If there's a heaven where there is no pain, I want to be there. But if there is no pain there, the God who inhabits it must be good. And if that God is good, he didn't put me here out of cruelty. He put me here to do something good in this world. And so if that God thinks the pain is worth it, then it must be worth it. So I don't need rescuing. I just need a little more strength to get by when it hurts.